Service design is a fairly new and evolving design practice. It is a proactive design approach with the needs of customers being most important. It is used to improve service and quality to any business or organisation by identifying what the problem is before it happens and creating solutions to prevent it from taking place. Service design's main principles include user-centred, co-creative, sequencing, evidencing and holistic. Throughout this semester, though, our main focus was on user-centred service design, which is the practice of having people, consumers, customers at the forefront of the design, making sure that the customers are asked questions and surveyed to see their point of view before settling for a final solution. One example I learned from last semester that really helped me understand the importance of service design in a business was through the case study of an insurance company that wanted to change how customers thought about their business. Insurance companies usually have a negative connotation attached and are seen as dishonest, selfish and money hungry. This Norwegian insurer decided to embrace service design to try and change the internal structure of the business to stand out amongst its competitors. Service designers conducted workshops and surveys to their customers and identified a few important topics to discuss. One main point was to create a happy customer experience. One approach was to cut the length of insurance papers that customers were expected to read by 50% by simplifying the language and cutting out long extraneous words because customers complained about how long they were, which usually meant that the conditions were not read or understood. Not only did customers appreciate lesser papers to read and sign, but the company also cut down on printing costs. This is why service design is something to consider in most corporate settings. Prior to this case study, I had no idea that service design existed, but I've now grown to understand the benefits of service design and the solutions it can provide with just a different perspective. I appreciate service design a lot more since completion of this subject because it has identified how valuable this field of practice is. The service design content and information, however, was limited because the main focus of this subject was to continue to develop and expand the design propositions for the upcoming Service Design 2020 conference, being held at RMIT University, developed by students from the previous semester. It was important to understand what service design means to be able to create designs relevant to the customers that will attend the conference. Service design is a really good way to design because it brings more options and different perspectives when designing. I think it should be more involved in graphic design as a whole, as in it should be a part of any process when designing. The experimentation period in the early stages of the brief, when we were trying to broaden our initial concept from the traditional walking tour to a sensory and virtual tour, was what I found most enjoyable because we had freedom to create whatever we felt comfortable creating. There were no boundaries to what we could design. We had a reasonably generous budget to take into consideration and a fun and intriguing brief in designing social activities and experiences for the guests. I had a general understanding of what service design is and applied my design skills to create an icebreaker guideline, mindfulness room concept, and virtual tour idea. Working within a group, though, has always been a tough thing for me to do because I struggled to articulate how I see which direction the design process should head towards. Being introverted and extremely shy, I found myself just doing what was put in front of me instead of having any real input with my peers within the group. It's not that the people in my group were bad or anything, it's just entirely my mindset and approach to group projects. I know what I have to do to overcome these challenges, but I've slowly been able to open up in these situations. Towards the end of the project, I did feel like I took it upon myself to speak with my group and mention what I thought about our direction and express my ideas and concerns with the group. Having completed the first service design studio in my last semester meant that I had more knowledge and understanding about this industry and thought that I should ace the subject and complete it easily, but it was not in any way an advantage and was not smooth sailing for me for a few reasons. Early in the semester, I found myself having to catch up on work because I was unable to attend classes, which wasn't the best way to start. Missing classes meant that while trying to catch up, on work, it was a bigger workload to try and handle with other subjects as well. Also, working with a group was tough for me, but I managed to complete what was expected. I was proud of the group performance and the final outcome we created. I wish I was there for the earlier classes because I know I missed out on valuable information, but from what I attended, I learned enough to get through the semester and have important insight into service design and the Service Design 2020 conference. Moving forward with service design, I believe it has important aspects that I would like to incorporate with my design and future studies. Being user-friendly and customer-focused is something I took out of it. Being able to communicate with customers and employees to understand the different positions and perspectives they may have on a problem. Sometimes the best and financially conscious way to solve a problem in a business is to ask the people who at first glance shouldn't be asked, because they often have the best insight. They offer a fresh new perspective and they bring some value to think about in design. I find service design pivotal in brand development, and because branding is something I enjoy and plan to do a lot of, I'll definitely bring this sort of thinking into my design process.